I think if you do it right, what you find is identity creates results. Success is not a mysterious thing. Massive action, relentless consistency, and time. That's the recipe. The thing is that we can't chase the results. We chase the identity that makes those results inevitable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pick Now podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Munn. Today's guest, Rob, you are an entrepreneur, you're a bodybuilder, you're a musician, you're an author, you're now a public speaker. Do you do coaching or anything else in there? You're a multi-hyphenate, right?
Yeah.
I will, we'll put it all in the show notes. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
So go back to the very beginning. Like if you had to identify one thing that kind of made you who you are today, what would it be? The through line between starting on trumpet to now being a public speaker and author.
Oh, one thing, man. Ambition.
Yeah.
Drive, to meet the potential God created me with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at this and I've got some notes here, so I'm going to look over here, but like there are so many little aspects, little is the wrong word, aspects to your journey. And there are these mountains that you've climbed along the way. And mm-hmm. Most people are lucky to climb one mountain in their lifetime. And you've had like 8.
It's been a lot of climbing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that drive, that focus, I think to me, that's kind of your secret sauce. That's what makes you special. That's when you write a book called Impossible to Fail, you've got the chops to back that up.
Yeah. I think a lot of us driven people are on this journey to find themselves in the success mm-hmm. that they want to create, and throughout achieving your goals as an entrepreneur or a business owner, you find yourself, you really discover mm-hmm. who you are. And I think so many people have the false perception that when X metric is achieved, X dollars, the goals, the check marks that you're going for, that is when you will become successful. That is when so many of us tie our results to our identity.
Yeah.
And I think if you do it right, what you find is identity creates results.
Yes.
And I have really just gone through this righteous journey of self-discovery, going through all these things. And, starting in music, I used to be a middle school teacher. My first business was in the music space, which I built to exit teaching about a little over 10 years ago. I quit teaching, became a full-time entrepreneur, and then, became a real estate agent, team leader, bodybuilder, and then got into real estate coaching and teaching and built a very successful online course, coaching academy for agents. And then most recently in the past few years, writing the book and becoming a successful keynote speaker, which is really what I love to do. I've always loved speaking at the heart of it. Even when I was 14, I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. I just loved it.
How many 14-year-olds say, I want to be a motivational speaker? Like, I didn't even know what a motivational, other than maybe a couple, those Saturday Night Live sketches with Chris Farley, it's yes. Like, I didn't know.
Oh, sure.
And that was not presenting motivational speaker in a positive light.
I was really blessed to have an amazing mentor at a young age. When I started the marching band activity at 14 years old, there was a guy named George who was one of the marching band directors. And believe it or not, I used to be a very shy kid. And he just brought me right out of my shell. But one of the many things I loved about him is he was just a motivator, man. He just made you feel good. He made you feel like you were ready to take on the world. And when you're doing band camp and it's 100 degrees out and it's hard, he just brought out something in you didn't even know you had. And wow. He became such a close friend and a dear friend. And what I knew as a freshman in high school is I said, I want to be George for as many people as I can. because he just made people feel good and brought out the best in them. And he has since passed, but I learned so much from him. And that was really at the drive of it. And I think it just took me a long time to figure out the best avenue, how to get there.
Yeah.
And I think everything I've been able to do is just kind of build a building block to the next thing. But it really comes down to like what you mentioned about impossible to fail is I do believe I know that whatever it is you're trying to do, that by following that impossible to fail framework, the only outcome is inevitable success, being like you're gonna reach your goals. Now, I will say if you define success as money or metrics, you will never be happy.
Right.
So realize happiness is not found in dollars or business metrics. Happiness is a state of mind and knowing your purpose in life and achieving that. But I have been able to figure out kind of the hack, so to speak, in inevitably achieving the goals that you want is this framework, because I've done it in so many completely unrelated things. And I've had a lot of success in teaching others. And it's one of my signature keynotes when I go into a big corporate event. Like this is the framework that will inevitably get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. It almost reminds me of Tim Ferriss. You know, Tim Ferriss would kind of early in his career, he would take pride in kind of like, hey, I can figure out the system that can get me to mastery in a particular topic much more quickly, and I can teach it to others. Yeah. Yeah. And it seems like that's what you're doing. So I think one of the things that I notice people struggle with, I've struggled with it myself, is, you know, you have an interest or a career aspiration, and you get to a certain point and you feel like, you know, maybe the learning curve's flattened a little bit and it's getting a little more boring. It's challenging you a little less than, and you wonder, like, is that a sign or is that part of the deal? Or, you know, and how do I know when to like just double down and go deeper into mastery of the thing I'm already doing versus I'm going to take the fork in the road and I'm going to try this other thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. And there's actually quite a lot to unpack there. So, but I will answer all of it. I will say it's part of the gig. It's part of the journey. It's the cost of doing business. It's the price of walking down this path of business ownership, of building something for yourself. And in my opinion, though, the hardest day working for yourself is still better than the easiest day working for somebody else. Yeah. Many people come into entrepreneurship from something else. I used to be a middle school teacher, and a lot of people are very good at their job when they have the guidelines laid out for them. When you start doing something on your own, you are accountable to yourself. And that is where the rubber really meets the road. And especially in this instant gratification society that we live in, there's this false perception that everything happens quickly and is easy. And it might be easy to, let's say, as an example, if you look at, let's say, the book or all the things you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, which sound great, right? It's taken 22 years to get there. And it's been an incredible journey, and late nights and tears and sweat and not really blood, but you know, it sounds good to say, but you know, so many times waking up like, what am I doing with my life? Like it's hard, you know, but the truth is that there is no shortcut to what it takes to be successful. And so I think when people start questioning, part of it is like, yes, it's not easy by nature. But to answer your other question, So first of all, it's the cost of doing business. It's normal. There's never been anyone that's like, I've never, you know, I've met with, I've spoken to, I've coached, I've been coached by thousands of incredible high performing people. I've never met one that when I said, what was it like building your empire? They went, you know, it was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Right. Yeah.
It's never happened.
Yeah.
So it is the cost of doing business. But I think actually what I like, the more important question that you asked was, how do you know when to go a different direction or keep doing what you're doing, or how long is it supposed to take?
Yeah.
And that is what impossible to fail is all about. It's a very simple framework. It doesn't make it easy, but it is actually quite simple. And honestly, success is not a mysterious thing. So here's what the impossible to fail framework comes down to. And again, keep in mind, this is from someone that used to be like a financially struggling middle school overweight teacher. And so I lived it, and I've helped other people live it. It's a 4-part framework. So here's how you literally achieve inevitable success, but also know exactly, to answer your question, when do I do what? What's the order? Is this normal? Am I meant to do this or not? So here's what you do. The first thing that you need to do, and which is actually the thing that most people are not good at, is get the blueprint. It starts with the blueprint. The blueprint being you need guidance. And people do this all the time in literally every other aspect of their life. You're going to start driving. You get driving lessons. You buy a piece of furniture you have no idea how to put together. You look at the blueprint and you know how to put it together. You decide you want a career. You go to school or get educated in this career. No one's going to hire someone with zero experience. So you get experience from someone else that has experience, and then you start. Yet when it comes to entrepreneurship, being a business owner, trying to build something, most people just try to figure it out.
Yeah.
Which will not work. And the reason is that because most people don't start in entrepreneurship and they start somewhere else, they look at a business expense or an investment as spending money. So someone might say, well, I don't want to spend money on a coach or to have Rob come in and consult with me on how to do this thing. Okay, well, you don't know. Obviously, you don't know how to do the thing you're trying to do, because if you knew how to do the thing you were trying to do, you would be doing the thing you're trying to do.
Doing it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't know how to do it, how are you going to learn how to do it? You could try to figure it out on your own, but the problem is, and this is like the first page of Impossible to Fail says, when you start something, you have one mission in life over everything else, and that is to make as much money as possible as fast as you can. Because if you don't, you have to quit and shut it down and get a job.
Right.
Right? You can't build a business without income forever. And so what's the shortest way to guarantee you can start being profitable and successful sooner rather than later? Get the guidance from someone that's been there and done that.
So that's a really interesting, and I know there's 3 more things that we need to go into, but I want to dive in on this because I think it raises up some of the things that are kind of easy to fall into that you mentioned earlier, which is the assumption that, okay, so I hired a coach, I hired a trainer, I hired a strategist, whatever, someone to help me with this thing. And it's not going as fast as I think it should.
Yep.
So I must have hired the wrong person. I'm going to go hire another person.
Yeah. I will say sometimes that's true.
Yeah. And how do you
in
know,
the book,
right?
Yeah. And in the book, there's a whole chapter on like how to find that resource. Yeah. We've all had bad teachers, right? And it's really easy today for someone to call themselves a coach or to say, I'm an expert in this, that, or the other. Right. And, how do you get the blueprint? There's a couple guidelines. Number one, it has to be from someone that has done what you're trying to do. I will say there's a lot of business coaches out there that have never built a business other than business coaching.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the big red flags is like, has this person built a business other than the business that they're in right now?
Because otherwise it's just a concept. And the truth is you don't know how something is going to shake out until you do it. So there's no shortage of people with a ton of book knowledge, and they hang their hat on the book knowledge, talking about, citing all of these studies and making themselves sound so intelligent. Meantime, you've never done anything that would actually help you know what is real and what's not and what actually works. And I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that doesn't work out for.
Yeah.
However, it only makes sense that if you're trying to do so, like, for example, you wouldn't hire a personal trainer that has a lot of book knowledge, but is overweight.
Right.
You wouldn't hire a financial advisor that rents a 1-bedroom apartment, but says, I know how to make money. So you have to, number one, get the blueprint from someone that's been there and done that. So if you're trying to build a successful business, at the very least, the person you're getting guidance from must have built a successful business. Like, they have to have done it themselves. And this is the way, again, I'm not saying someone else wouldn't work. I'm talking about what is the way I can guarantee that the blueprint I'm getting from will work for me.
Right.
Number one,
they have maximize. There's no, but at least maximize.
There's no guarantee, but it dramatically increased the likelihood. And then the other part of it is not only have they had to have done what you're trying to do they have a track record of helping others duplicate those results? Because
so they've done it and they know how to teach it.
Yes, that's it. Because how many bad teachers have you had?
Yeah, like Michael Jordan. greatest NBA player ever.
Yeah.
Never had any success trying to teach other people.
Right,
how
exactly.
He did it.
And when I was, my initial degree before my master's in education, I was a professional jazz trumpet player. And I went to like one of the best jazz universities in the country, University of the Arts in Philadelphia. And there were many times that they would bring in like world-class jazz musicians to come give us clinics and teach us and play with us. Like some of the best in the world, like my idols, like I had their CDs. They're some of the most famous musicians. Yeah. And some of them I met and I was like, this was transformative for me. And some of them I met, I was like, I can't wait to meet this person. And I'm like, wow, you have the personality of a rock. You're mean, you're condescending, you have no people skills. I don't like you at all. And you can't teach anything. And I don't care how good you are. Right. And so just because you've done something doesn't mean the art and science of disseminating information in a way that other people can understand it, relate to it, and get behind it is a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
And you can have someone that has accomplished something and isn't a good teacher. You can also have a good teacher that's okay, but like has never done the thing. So if you can find someone that's been there, done that, and is great at teaching others how to do it, that is when you've got like the magic combo that will most likely give you the blueprint that will work for you. Whether or not you achieve success with it is then largely on you. And I'm going to get to that in a second. Yeah. But if like, well, maybe I hired the wrong person. Maybe you did. It's possible. And that doesn't mean coaching doesn't work. It just means you might have got the wrong blueprint.
Well, you need the right person for where you are.
Yes. Too. Yeah, absolutely. Because you might find someone, there could be a whole host of people that check those boxes. And then it's about finding the right one for you. And there's a lot, and there's other ways in the book that I talk about that. For example, checking out their content. Most people have something: YouTube, podcast appearances, a video, a book, a $20 course you can take that gives you a taste of what they're about. And you find the one that you resonate the most with and you think mostly aligns with you and kind of the one that feels the best to you. But those are two real non-negotiables that I have found, at least when I hire someone, anytime I'm launching a new thing. And now anytime I launch a new thing, that's just what I do immediately, because I'm like, why would I wait? When I know this is what works, I follow my own advice. And as I've built more businesses or launch new products, let's say I'm launching a product and I've never launched this type of product, who's the best person that's done exactly this in this field and has a great track record of teaching others? I'm going to pay them whatever they ask for because I know I'm going to accomplish those goals immediately.
Right. All right, so let's go to. You said there's 4 steps, right? So that's how you get
the blueprint, right? So that's like the first one, and then so now that you've gotten the blueprint, there's 3 ways that you have to implement the blueprint. The first, and it's massive action, relentless consistency, and time. That's the recipe. And just like in anything, if you want to bake a great cake, like the recipe, all the ingredients in the recipe have to be there, and they have to be done in the right order. Yeah. All the ingredients done in the wrong order don't work. If you're missing an ingredient, it doesn't work. Like you can take massive action, relentlessly consistency for a long time, but if you have no idea what you're doing or you're doing the wrong thing, it's not going to work out.
Well, and I think time is one of the really underrated things in all that. And I saw this quote a while ago, and I don't know who it was attributed to, but it was you can't take 10 pregnant women and create a baby in a month.
That's true. Yeah. I usually say you
can't bake a cake at 700 degrees and do it in half the time. Right.
I mean, you can't rush water boiling, it only boils when it gets to 212. So for example, if you break those down, and truthfully, the biggest thing I found with people that don't get the results they want is usually the second part of this equation, the consistency. And I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Right. So the first one is the massive action, which is really, you have to do an incredible amount of work. You have to take a level of action that you've never taken before. It's a level of action that, to the outsider looking in, they're like, hey, you need to work that hard. Like slow down. Like it makes other people uncomfortable. And it does take short-term sacrifice for long-term gains, which is not popular in this instant gratification society we live in, or when you're bombarded with this AI and this AI and this tool and this app and 3 ways to change your life in 15 minutes, like it doesn't work that way. It's clickbait. There's no shortcut to doing incredible amounts of work and grit and delayed gratification and sacrificing today so you get what you want tomorrow. That's reality. It's not very glamorous to say, hey, you need to work harder for longer. People are like, yeah, but what's the supplement? There isn't one. Just stop eating fast food and drinking alcohol. Like people don't want to hear that. But the truth is, you have to take insane amounts of action to get what you want. And most people aren't willing to do that. And notice the word I just said there. It's not that people aren't capable of it. It's not that the successful person has some magic pixie dust you don't have access to. If people were to ask, like you quote, I don't remember exactly what you said, but earlier you said, like, Rob, that's like your superpower. I would say my superpower is the ability to do more things faster than most people are willing to.
I also think, and I think that's true at the beginning of any endeavor. I think there is like a certain, you do have to, it's like, how do you get that flywheel going, right? It's like, it requires a lot at the beginning to get momentum, to get traction, all of those things. And I've also had clients who are running fairly large companies who that massive personal action part is actually getting in their way.
Yes, exactly. And that's, I have a whole demographic of people that I help too, because they had to use those methods to get them to that point. Right. But now they won't get them to the next point. And you're 100% right about that. And I have a whole separate book coming out and framework for those people. Right.
Yeah.
But for the purpose of impossible to fail, right. That's meant for the starter.
Right.
You know,
and I think it's interesting because the people who are inclined not to take action believe that they can start something from this place of flow and allowing and whatever.
Right.
And maybe, but they need to take action. It's not just, they're not just going to think about it and things are going to show up.
You have to build and earn your way to that point.
You're right.
You know, work-life balance is something that is earned.
Yeah.
It's not a given. And even if you have all the money in the world to delegate as much as possible when you start your business, which most people don't, there's still just quite a lot of action. And even still at that higher level you talked about, it is an incredible amount of action. The problem is they're putting that action in the wrong place.
Exactly.
And they're putting that action to places where they used to have to put it, but now they're making all these decisions that need to be made, but not by them.
It's a different kind of action.
100%. It's a much more intentional, dialed in the aspect to it. Right. But even still, if you would say the person, the business owner that is operating a wildly successful company and they're making all the money they want, if they want to get to that next point of getting the time and mental freedom that they started this thing for in the first place, it still requires a blueprint, someone that knows how to get you to that next level and taking incredible amounts of action to get there. Because I could tell you, as someone that's been there and someone that helps other successful business owners get there, like right before this podcast, I had a one-to-one call with someone I'm consulting with who is very, very successful in the real estate industry as an investor. And she's like getting to the next level. But in order to dramatically scale her business, she's putting all her action in the wrong place. And in order to put it in a new place, it's very uncomfortable because they haven't done it before.
Right.
Like been that focused in. So after the massive action comes the relentless consistency.
And I think the consistency is, for most people, is the boring part.
It's super boring. And you're right. Yeah. And that's what I was about to say is it's the most underrated, but essential aspect because consistency isn't glamorous. And again, it goes completely against the grain of this instant gratification society that we live in, where you take this pill, you do this app, it changes your life. And certain things can certainly provide leverage, but consistency is necessary. And, so when I was competing in bodybuilding and I would step on stage at, 3% body fat and win a bodybuilding show, that would be anywhere between a 6 to 8 month process of slow dieting. Cause it's really what a contest prep is. It's a very controlled starvation, to get to the point where you're super, super like no body fat anatomy chart for the stage. But the truth is, I wasn't working any harder in month 8 than I was on day 1 of that 8-month journey to the stage. It's just, how long am I doing it?
Right.
And that's where most people go wrong, because when you start something new that you are extremely excited about and is very different from anything you've ever done, the problem is that there's this inverse relationship between thought and results. Meaning, for example, let's take the very classic example of the New Year's resolutioner at the gym.
Yeah.
They're obviously most likely not yet eating healthy or exercising. And so now they're like, I'm dedicated. I got my gym membership. I got my gym sneakers for Christmas and all these workout outfits, and I'm going to go crush it. And so all day they're thinking about going to the gym. What am I going to eat? What am I doing this? And it takes so much cognitive load focusing on this brand new endeavor that you're doing. So after, let's say, 3 weeks of being consistent, it probably feels like 6 months mentally.
Right.
And they don't see the results.
And you've lost like 3 pounds.
Maybe, right? You don't look any different. Right. And you feel that the juice has not been worth the squeeze. Like the results don't match the effort. And they think there's something wrong and it doesn't work and my body just doesn't respond to it. When the truth is like, dude, if you did that for a year, you'd be amazing. But no one wants to hear keep doing what you're doing for a year. It's going to take 6 months.
Especially when it's so exhausting.
Right.
To where and it's almost like, how do you create these boring but sustainable habits that you can do for a year or 2 years or 5 years?
So on habits, that's a great question. And actually I did a TEDx talk earlier this year all about habits.
Yeah.
But that's interesting what you said, habit. So Jeff, if I asked you, give me a few buzzwords or just words that come to mind if I say habit, how would you describe a habit?
Regular, automatic, easy, do it without thinking.
100%. Right.
Yeah. So like I brush my teeth. Right. It's just like
muscle memory.
Time to brush my teeth. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So the life we live is a result of the decisions that we make. We are the walking result of our decisions.
Yeah.
And so in order to live the life you want or get the results you want, it comes down to the decisions that you make. And if you want to make enough of those decisions, the decisions need to feel easy to make. Otherwise you won't make them. So easy decisions are habits. They're just easy to do.
Right.
So the question then becomes, back to your question, if habits, so let's say someone's trying to start this business and they're trying to become an entrepreneur and be very successful. And now they have to do all these things that are required of them that are not fun or thrilling or exciting, but they're necessary.
Yeah.
But they're brand new and they're uncomfortable. So if a habit is automated muscle memory, do it without thinking about it. Question, is a new habit a habit on day 1? Yes or no? No, it's not. And that's where people go wrong, is they call it a habit and it's like, no, it's not a habit yet because it's not automated. It's not easy. You're not just thinking about it. And so what I talked about in my TEDx talk was the journey of discovery I've made to fortunately achieving a lot of success in personal development and business, but it's because of the habits that I have. So how did I form all these habits? And so it comes down to forming the habit, but it's not going to feel like a habit. And so habits don't start as habits. They begin as disciplined decisions. Because you have to do something you don't want to do and it's uncomfortable, but it's necessary. So for example, when I used to be extremely overweight before I had this fitness transformation and got into bodybuilding. And when I finally had that something's got to change moment, I had actually, Jeff, I'd gotten so overweight and I was just gaining a ton of weight. And one day I was getting dressed in my room and I was putting on this belt and the belt had gotten so tight I could barely get it on. And finally I wrestle with this belt and I get it on and I exhale the sigh of relief and the belt buckle popped off the belt and flew across the room. The buckle popped off the belt.
You didn't lose the button in your pants. You lost the buckle in your belt.
The belt buckle popped off the belt, flew across the room and made a hole in the wall.
Wow.
It's like I'd have a sitcom. It was not funny at the time. And the funny thing was when I told that story on TEDx stage, I thought I was going to get like a whoa. And it was like, everyone laughed. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a laugh. Wasn't funny to me at the time. That was like jaw on the ground. Like, what have I become?
But what a wake up call.
It was 100% a wake up call. And so at that point, I discovered the P90X program. And it changed my life over the course of 6 months. But what I really discovered was the nutrition was the most important aspect of losing weight and losing fat, I should say. And because I had gone my whole life of not eating healthy, and especially at that point, mid-20s, you know, eating pizza, drinking beer with my buddies, like very unhealthy habits, I knew that eating healthy was important. It wasn't a habit yet. And I didn't like doing it. So when it came time to go to the restaurant and order a, you know, chicken salad or a steak and a baked potato instead of like chicken fingers and fries and cake, I didn't want to, but I knew I had to. So it was a disciplined decision. Mentally, I'm like, I want to eat my chicken fingers and fries. I'll get the grilled chicken and broccoli. Oh, fine. I'll eat the grilled chicken. I didn't want to do it, but I did it. Now, so the question is, how long does it take for a disciplined decision to become a habit so that you just do the things? It's when you get what I call your proof of concept moment. It's the first time when you go, I got some tangible results. This works. Now I'm excited about it. Now it's a habit. So with my fitness, I was working relentlessly hard for months. I hated eating healthy. I didn't like the workouts, but I just kept pushing myself. And one day I looked in the mirror and went, I can see my abs. Who knew they were under there? This is crazy. What overweight person doesn't dream about having 6-pack abs, you know?
Yeah.
And one day it was there and I was like, this is working. And from that moment, I was like, I don't want the unhealthy stuff. Give me the healthy stuff. That was when eating healthy became a habit that became very easy for me. From a business perspective, when I got my real estate license as a brand new agent in Austin, Texas, there's like 20,000 agents, right?
Yeah.
5 months it took me to get my first client. You have no idea what you're doing. You know, you're learning. It was really hard doing the prospecting, making the calls, getting rejected, being told no after no after no after no. Many questions, like you said, questioning, is this the right thing to do? But I kept pushing. Eventually, after 7 months, I closed my first 3 deals. And in 1 week, I made $47,000, which was pretty much my annual teaching salary when I was a teacher.
Yeah.
That was the proof of concept moment that made me go, okay, I can do this. I no longer dread doing these boring activities I need to do because I know the fruit that they will bring, and then things scaled from there. So the truth is, like, when people go, how do I form a habit? How do I get motivated to do it? You won't be motivated to do it, but you got to think about why you're doing it in the first place. You see, people think action follows motivation. In truth, motivation follows action.
Right.
And so it's like, how do I motivate myself to do the boring stuff? Think about why you're doing it and take action. And once you start getting results, you will be motivated. So it really comes down to that.
How long did you say? Yeah. How long did you say before you had your first real estate? How many months was it?
For me, it was 7 months until I had my first commission.
So how do you keep, and I would imagine, given how obese you've described yourself as, it took a similar length of time or maybe even longer before you saw your abs. Like, how do you keep going before you have your proof of concept?
By the blueprint provider.
Yeah.
I'll give you. So case in point, right? I was following the P90X program. That was my blueprint. And I knew it worked because Tony Horton looked amazing and there were no shortage of before and after photos of people with a radical body transformation.
And so you believed this can work for me too if I just do it, because this is proven. Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
When I started my real estate team, so I went from being a high producing solo agent to running a team, which is a whole new skill set, right?
Absolutely.
It's like being a baker and opening a bakery. Like, these are not the same thing. And so I followed my own advice and hired a coach that was really good at building teams. And 4 to 5 months in, I had a big team. We're not profitable. There's a ton of expense in building a profitable, because then you're like basically running a company. And it was just not profitable yet. And I would make $30,000, $40,000 of my own commissions, and almost all of it would go into trying to build a team. And I remember sitting with my coach and I went, Coach, I think I got to quit the team. I got to shut it down. And he was like, why? because I wanted to build the team so I could create some time freedom for myself and not have to hustle 80 hours a week selling houses. And he goes, why? And I was like, we're not profitable. I'm stressed out. I'm not making money. Like, this is not sustainable for me. And he said, and this leads into the time factor. He goes, Rob, I coach you. I know you. Trust me when I tell you, you're doing everything right. You just haven't been doing it long enough.
Yeah.
Put your head down, push your arm out, and keep going. And I promise you, within 6 months, your life will look so dramatically different than you ever could have imagined. And you know, if there was something you needed to do differently, I would tell you, but you just got to keep going. So I had the blueprint. I had the massive action. I had the consistency. It was the time. I was at 205 degrees, not at 212 yet.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 months after that conversation, broke even. A month after that, made some money. A month after that, made more money. 5 months after that conversation, I had my first $100,000 profit month.
Wow.
Without that blueprint provider, without my coach, I would have quit the team. And I would have lost out on everything else that's happened since then. The problem is that when we operate on our own, we often make emotional decisions. And you can't do that because most people don't have the ability to remove their emotions and think logically, but also you can't logically advise yourself on how to do something you don't know how to do.
Right. Or that you've never done before.
Or that you've never done. You're like, I get it. I think I know how to do this, but it's not working. And then the blueprint provider can tell you that's because you're doing these things incorrectly. Or it could be like my coach who said, you just need to do it longer.
Yeah. 3 more months and you'll, yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Wow.
And so for those who are like either building or like you know, they've gotten to that successful point and they go, I'm making all the money I ever thought I needed, but I have no time freedom. I have no mental freedom. I'm sitting at dinner with my family. My mind is elsewhere. I'm on vacation checking my phone. I don't know how to free myself from this.
Right.
Cool. I do.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Right. Here's 2 people that can help you do this. But until you get the guidance from someone that can advise you on how to make that happen, don't expect that anything's going to change without someone advising you and then implementing their advisement.
So you mentioned identity earlier in the conversation. Where does identity and kind of coming from this place of identity? And one of the things that I have found is, you know, maybe it's before you get the proof of concept, right? If I can change my identity on day one. And it will take physical action, months or even years, to catch up to that identity. Do you work with people on that level? Like, where does identity fit into the way that you work with people?
It's the first thing that we talk about.
Yeah.
The very first thing. And when I start a consultation relationship with someone to step in, figure out what their problem is and help them solve it.
Yeah.
The first thing we talk about is not what do you want to accomplish? It's who do you want to become? Because if we chase accomplishments, we're never going to get there. We're never going to be happy. We're never going to be content. We're never going to be fulfilled. We're never going to be we're never going to fill the hole that we're looking to fill.
Right.
With the metrics that we're chasing. You know, you do the things. So whatever results that you're chasing, it takes a certain type of person to get those results.
Right.
So the thing is that we can't chase the results. We chase the identity that makes those results inevitable. An example would be when I won my first bodybuilding show. I didn't then become a championship bodybuilder. I was doing the things a championship bodybuilder does. As a result, I won the show. Exactly. A gold medal athlete, Olympic athlete, doesn't become a gold medalist after they get the gold medal. I believe they do the things that a gold medalist does. As a result, the gold medal is an inevitable byproduct of the decisions that they've made.
Right.
And so we have to ask ourselves, who do you need to become? What type of daily habits? What are you taking in? What are you saying no to? Who are you hanging out with? What is the identity that we need to step into that your goals take care of themselves? Because I promise you, if we focus on you and your habits and who you need to become, the results are going to happen by themselves. And that's where it starts.
Yeah. I mean, I will go through an exercise with a client where it's like, okay, in 5 years, or 10 years, what do you want to have accomplished? Some big goal. Could be winning a bodybuilding championship, could be building and selling my company, right? Yeah. Now, tell me about that person. Tell me about who that person is in 10 years time.
Yeah.
And now we're going to transport back, like, what habits does that person have today that enables them to get to that point? So it's almost like we're building from the future backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to reverse engineer that identity.
Yeah. I'm not establishing habits from the perspective of the person I am today. I'm establishing habits from the perspective of the person I want to become.
Yes, 100%. The disconnect comes from people saying, okay, but I don't feel like this person because I haven't had the results. How can I feel like a successful business owner if I'm not a successful or how?
Yeah.
And so it is a very hand-in-hand thing, because the truth is you won't start feeling confident in that identity until some of those things happen. But I think I don't think it takes results to create identity. I think it takes commitment to yourself and enforcing your standards. So for example, someone wants to have a rapid health transformation. They're used to eating junk all the time. And they always go to, the restaurant, and they get the burger and the fries, or the chicken fingers and the appetizer and the dessert and the beer.
And then they go to Cinnabon. And
right. So the first time you go to the restaurant and you go, I'm going to have a salad.
Yeah.
Dry.
Yeah.
No dressing. Even though you don't really look any different the next day, you honored a commitment to yourself in that moment. And so because you did that, it's a little easier for you to feel like I am a healthy person, because that's what healthy people do. Or when you go, oh my gosh, my day tomorrow is booked all day. I have not one spare moment. So I'm going to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go to the gym really early, because that's what I have to do tomorrow if I want to get my workout in. And you do it and you hate it and it feels terrible, but you do it anyway. When you're done, you feel like, yeah, that's what a healthy person does. I did it.
Yeah.
And so it's when you honor those little commitments to yourself, that's how identity is formed. And as a result, if you do that enough, like inevitably you're going to get the big result that you're chasing. But it starts with those little decisions and just honoring that commitment to yourself.
I think that's the place where most people fall down. I think that, especially what I see among founders, business owners, they are great at honoring their commitments to their clients, their customers, whatever deliverables they have. They're horrible at honoring their commitments to themselves.
Yes.
And I think that to me is the differentiator between someone who can go on, 8 of these journeys like you have had, from jazz trumpeter to motivational speaker, and someone who never succeeds at anything is like something shows up in that person's life that always looks more important than their commitment to themselves. And the other thing that I see is they experience, from childhood or whatever, that their needs are not important. And that therefore they're always looking to make other people happy, and they end up miserable and depleted and burnout and all the other things. Yeah.
And I agree with you. Another thing I found is that for those people that will prioritize, the needs of others above themselves, which is part of, There is something to be said for that, and I'm not saying you should never do that. However, I think there's two aspects to it. One is, people feel selfish for prioritizing their needs. The truth is, you can't serve others optimally until you prioritize yourself. Exactly. So, for example, my wife and my daughter depend on me to be a great dad, a great husband, leader of the family, bring home the money, run the house, right? Be a good husband, a good father, a good leader. If I said yes to everyone in my business world that asked of my time, I would be doing wrong by them, by my family. So I need to be thriving, because if someone has been given abilities, if someone has abilities to achieve success and be a good business owner, have all these character traits, they're not for you, they're for others. You use those traits to serve others, and you benefit because you're serving others, right? And so if you really care about the people that you say you care about, you will prioritize your needs. And I believe it's selfish not to. And that doesn't mean that you're prioritizing your needs at the detriment to other people. But it means that you've got, like, for me, I have a hard, I stop working at this time at X in the afternoon because I have to go to the gym. I never miss my workout because I know if I do, mentally, physically, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to have the energy. I'm not going to have the stamina. I'm not going to feel good. So so if I say no to an opportunity to get my workout, that's how it goes, because I don't miss. Right. It's making sure that you have to prioritize yourself. But the other thing I would say is, a lot of these times people play that nobility card, because the truth is, prioritizing yourself to a point of really thriving and stepping into the ultimate awesome person is that you're going to require to be, if you want to achieve your goals, is extremely uncomfortable. It's extremely uncomfortable
say
to
more
get
about that,
into
Rob.
that level. And so it's I'm going to avoid that uncomfortability and pick the low hanging fruit instead of putting out this fire and reacting to this person. And I'm going to say, I'm doing this for them, and I'll just give all of myself, rather than hey, let me prioritize myself and turn into the ultimate person I need to be. That's challenging to do, and it's uncomfortable to do. And the mind will do everything it can to protect itself. And so to avoid that level of uncomfortability, they play the nobility card. And ultimately, it feels like in the short term, it's the right thing to do. But in the long term, you will hit a ceiling until you change that.
Yeah. How do we, I don't know what the right word is, make ourselves or let ourselves? It's probably a little bit of both. Kind of let ourselves fully shine, let ourselves fully step into that level of whatever you want to call it, potential, because you're right. There are a lot of things that tell us, a lot of societal rules, a lot of things we learned in childhood. I remember saying, I want to do this or I want to do that. And I remember my parents saying, well, who do you think you are to want that? How do we let ourselves be bigger?
It takes, I believe, a lot of courage to be able to be okay with prioritizing yourself. And there's something, if I say prioritize yourself, a lot of people that have not done that might think you're doing that at the expense of others.
Right.
Like they're mutually exclusive. Like, for you to let yourself shine, as you put it, if you do that, you have to do it at the expense of others. That's what's happening. But they're not mutually exclusive. You benefit those around you when you do that. However, and this is, again, just based on my experience living this, and there's always room for improvement, but I'm extremely happy with my life, and I'm always trying to be better, but I am confident in the man that I am. It sounds so good to say, just let yourself be it doesn't work that way. it doesn't happen by you just sitting back and letting it happen.
Yeah.
It happens by you being willing to suffer a little bit. We have to refine ourselves and seek wisdom to realize and be humble and realize the flaws that we have and be ruthless at trying to eliminate them. We are refined in the fire. Fire is painful. It hurts. It's like when I go to the gym to build my physique, muscles get bigger when they are literally torn apart.
Right.
It's extremely painful, and then I recover, and then I grow. And so no one will ever meet their God-given potential by saying, I'm just going to let it, just let yourself. That sounds so good. It sounds like something Oprah would say. It doesn't work that way. It takes extreme amounts of intentionality to go, all right, who do I need? I need to become, healthy, fit, dialed in, intentional. If I want to become the man that prioritizes my family and I'm there with my family, that means in order for me to be able to be mentally present with my family, my business has to be rocking and rolling at such a high level that it doesn't take up any mental space when I'm with them. That means I got to hire the right people and I got to have systems in place. There's so much logistical stuff in your life that needs to happen for you to meet your ultimate potential. It doesn't happen by accident or you by saying, I'm just going to let it happen. It takes an extreme amount of intentional design and being willing to admit your own faults. And being willing to say, like, I need to fix this about myself. And without that, it just won't happen. And I think it sounds like such a good thing to say, but, and so how do you know what to do? And, anyone can feel free to disagree with me, but, and I'm not trying to take this in like a totally random direction, but
no, I'm glad we're talking about this because I think when I say let, I mean something slightly different than what you're talking about.
No, for sure. And totally. But the point I'm trying to make is it takes a lot of self-reflection, more than most people are willing to do. Most people are not willing to sit in a quiet room and say, like, what do I need to change about myself?
Yeah.
And honestly, and this is what I was about to say, like, not to take this in a totally crazy direction. I'm just saying for me, I did not step into the ultimate, what I feel confident to say, like and I'm always trying to improve. I'm not saying I'm definitely not perfect, but I feel highly confident in the man I am and the identity I have. But for me, that didn't happen until I found God. And I was trying to fill every hole with money and success and things that would make people go, wow, you're so, and I had all of those things and none of it worked.
Yeah.
And until I stepped into the identity of I'm a child of God, he loves me. I'm going to strive to read his word and make him proud by following his blueprint.
Right.
That's because it takes humility. The Bible teaches humility and forgiveness, like to be able to look at your own actions and say, like, I need to refine this about myself, or to ask for forgiveness and humble yourself. Like, that's how you step into your ultimate. That's how you step into your ultimate.
And when I use the word let, I think it's almost akin to the idea of surrender.
Yeah.
Like I'm not in charge here. There is some bigger power, whatever you want to call that, however you experience it.
Yeah.
I have seen enough of this in my own life. It's like, oh, I didn't plan that, but it actually worked out amazingly well.
Yeah.
And the other thing is when I say let, I think most things, whether they look hard on the outside or not, most things get way easier if we simply stop resisting. Like if we can drop our own resistance to the idea that, like, I can be a successful business owner, and kind of drop all the voices in our head that tell us why we can't.
Yeah.
All those things that you need to do to be a successful business owner are pretty easy to just do them. It's when the resistance to like, oh, it's going to take too long. Oh, it's boring. Oh, it's whatever. Oh, it should be, I should be further along than I am. Like all of that stuff is the hard part.
Yeah, I agree with you. I usually say that, the weight and the stress doesn't come from the doing. It's from the weight of the decision that precedes it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of the mental stuff that you said is rattling around there versus like doing the thing is actually very simple. Yeah. It might take a while, but it's not hard to do.
Sending an email, like you hit send. I mean,
yeah, like making the call, or someone's like, it's hard to eat healthy. I'm like, technically it's not. You're putting this in your mouth, or you're putting this in your mouth. Like it's actually less work to not eat at all. Like it's not, but it's the and that's where, again, having that blueprint helps, where you're all that mental stuff, when I'm consulting with someone, they're usually successful at, meaning like they don't have a work ethic problem.
Right.
There's just some type of knowledge gap.
Yeah.
And I tell them, the best part about our engagement is it requires 0 decisions from you.
Yeah.
Other than the decision to do it. You'll never have to wonder what to do, when to do it, how to do it, if you're doing the right thing. Like that's my role. Right. You just got to execute what you know how to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, dude, just let go of the, because when you have all these negative beliefs, and again, like I'm not trying to get on a soapbox or anything, but I'll say frequently, just God did not give us a spirit of fear, right? Yeah. He gave us a spirit of power and love and a sound mind. So when people are like, have all these negative talks, it's like, no, man, like that's not what you're meant to be thinking right now. Give yourself permission, as you say, let yourself, realize this is possible.
I do think when we feel most kind of alive and on our path, it does feel, or can feel, easy, even if it's hard.
Yes.
It can be like, absolutely. I'm in flow. I'm on purpose. I'm doing what I'm here to do.
Yeah. And right? Yes. And that's when you're doing the right thing. Like for me, it's speaking. Yeah. I could, if I'm on stage or doing a one-to-one call with someone and helping them and consulting with them, like I could do that all day and have more energy than when I started. And so that's when you really know you feel a lot. And so the whole goal is, how can you spend as much time of your day and in your business doing that thing?
Right.
And then make sure that everything else is still happening by someone else or something else.
Right. One of the things that I ask my clients a lot is, how can this be easier? And I don't mean, how can you do less?
Right.
It's like, how do you get out of your way so that this can just, you can be more aligned with the things that you need to do and feel more on purpose with those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love how we both work with, some similar types of people, and we come at it differently. And probably, you're working with someone at a certain stage that really requires what you offer. I'm working with someone at a certain stage that really requires what I offer. And I think that level of discernment, when you're talking about, find the blueprint, I think that's really where it is. Because it's a hard thing to do. Whenever you take on something big, it's a hard thing to do on your own. Yeah. Well, if people want to reach out to you, contact you, have you come speak at an event, Rob, tell us how they would do that.
Yeah, just go to robstein.com, STEIN. All my info is on there. Speaker reel, you can download some information about me. You can see more about, what it's like to engage with me for consulting, or have me in to speak, put in a contact form. There are certain keynote topics that people ask me to come in, but primarily what I really love to do is create just customized events. Because, a lot of organizations, the thing, and they have specific outcomes that they want from someone that comes in, that they bring in to speak to their people. Right. And so I always start with, like, what are the outcomes that you're looking for? And let's reverse that into a really highly customized proposal that's going to guarantee that's what's going to happen. And, my ability of implementing and having that master's degree in education, I think a lot of speakers are really good at inspiring, but don't always give the, how are you going to implement what we talked about today?
It's
with all
just the rah, right? And
right.
You come away and really energized, and well, now what do I do?
Right. And 72 hours later, you're back to it. So that's why I always want to make sure I understand what are the outcomes that someone's trying to achieve, and let's create the experience that's going to get people super fired up, ready to run through that brick wall, and also give them the tools and the toolkit and that blueprint that they need to go implement it. And so that your organization actually gets results and not just, inspiration.
Yeah. Awesome. Rob, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Love your willingness to go deep and talk about your frameworks and talk about your own experience and kind of coming up with these frameworks. Thank you, listeners and watchers, for spending the time with us. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Pick Now podcast. Take care.